Welcome to the Deep Dive, your essential shortcut for getting up to speed on complex subjects. Today, we're taking a bit of a different approach, a deep breath maybe. We're plunging into something quite profound, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life, the concept of Ikigai.
It sounds philosophical, and it is, but it's also incredibly practical, Ikigai. It's often translated, simply as reason for being, but I think the spirit is captured better by something like the happiness of always being busy.
Always busy. That sounds exhausting.
Well, not in a stressful way. It's more about having a purpose that gets you moving. We're talking about a whole framework, really, a kind of blueprint for a life where purpose, health, community, they're all woven together.
Okay, I see. So that's our mission today then, to unpack this. We're looking at the habits, the mindset, basically drawing from the sources you share, right? Focusing on these amazing centenarians in Okinawa, Japan.
Exactly, because Okinawa is Exhibit A. These communities, statistically, they seem to have cracked the code for not just longevity, but quality longevity.
Right. And that leads us straight into what some call the Okinawa paradox. I mean, this small chain of islands way down south in Japan, the numbers are just staggering.
They really are. You've got something like 24.55 people over the age of 100 for every 100,000 inhabitants.
Wow.
Yeah. Compare that to the global average. It's not even close. It's an anomaly. A really fascinating one.
It really makes you wonder what we're missing, doesn't it? And the sources mention one place in particular, Ogimi. They call it the village of longevity.
That's the one. Researchers were obviously drawn there. What is it about this specific place, beyond the nice weather and the local diet? What keeps these people thriving for so long?
And the answer seems to circle back to this core idea, Ikigai.
It really is the pillar. If you break down the word itself, Iki means life. And Gai implies value or to be worthwhile.
Life worthwhile.
Exactly. It's that which makes life worthwhile. It's your reason for getting up in the morning. Ask someone in Ogimi why they wake up, and they'll likely describe their Ikigai. It's that internal compass, that drive that makes each day feel, well, valuable.
Okay, let's dive into that.
Yeah.
Because the moment you define it as the happiness of always being busy, well, that immediately clashes with a huge cultural idea we have in the West, right? Retirement. Like the goal is to stop being busy.
It's a fundamental difference. This anti-retirement principle is just woven into the fabric of Japanese culture, especially in places like Okinawa. Honestly, there isn't really a word in Japanese that perfectly captures our idea of just stopping meaningful work for good.
Really?
Yeah.
No equivalent for retirement.
Not in that final sense. The drive is for perpetual engagement. There's a Japanese proverb quoted in the sources, something like, only staying active will make you want to live 100 years.
Huh. So it's not about stopping, it's about adjusting.
Exactly. Adjusting the pace, maybe the intensity as you age, but not abandoning the activity that gives you purpose, that gives you your Ikigai.
And we have actual research backing this up, don't we? The whole blue zones concept.
Absolutely. Dan Buettner's work identified these blue zones. These are specific geographic spots around the world where people demonstrably live the longest, healthiest lives. And Okinawa, it's number one on the list.
Okay, so Okinawa is the big one. What were the others again?
Let's see. There's Sardinia in Italy, Loma Linda in California, specifically the Seventh-day Adventist community there, the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, and Ikaria in Greece.
Wow, pretty diverse places.
Totally different cultures, climates, genetics. But here's the fascinating part. Researchers synthesized the findings and found 4 common keys popping up across all 5 zones.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. It wasn't just one magic bullet, right?
Definitely not. Genetics play a role, sure, but these lifestyle factors were consistent. Number 1, a predominantly plant-based natural diet. 2, finding and acting on a purpose, their version of Ikigai.
Ah, so Ikigai isn't just Japanese.
The concept seems universal, even if the word is Japanese. 3, regular, low-intensity exercise built into daily life. Think gardening, walking, not marathon running.
Right. And the 4th?
Forming exceptionally strong social ties. Real community.
It sounds like these things all work together.
They absolutely do. It's a system. Your purpose, your Ikigai, might lead you to garden, which is movement. Your strong community reinforces healthy eating habits and prevents isolation. It all creates this virtuous cycle of longevity.
And in Okinawa, that social piece, the community aspect, is actually formalized, isn't it? This moai system. Tell us about that. It sounds ancient.
It is ancient but incredibly relevant today. The moai is, well, it's way more than just a social club. It's essentially an informal group, maybe 5 or 6 people, sometimes spanning generations, who share common interests and, crucially, deep trust.
Okay.
It originated in farming villages. Imagine a time when harvests were uncertain. Members would pool resources, maybe money, maybe labor, to ensure that if one person had a bad year, everyone still survived. It was a collective safety net.
So it started as a kind of like mutual insurance.
Pretty much, yeah. A form of collective risk management. But today it provides both emotional and financial stability. Members make a set contribution each month.
Like dues.
Sort of, yeah. This fund pays for group activities, parties, maybe helping someone through a tough time like an illness or job loss. But here's the clever part. Any surplus money rotates among the members on a schedule.
Oh, interesting. So everyone gets a little payout eventually.
Exactly. It fosters this incredible feeling of security, both financial and emotional. You know you belong, you know someone has your back, you're never truly alone. It combats isolation directly.
I have to say, that level of mutual obligation, that shared financial reliance, it feels so countercultural to how many of us live in the West, so individualistic. Can we even replicate that benefit without those deep cultural roots?
That's a really important question. It absolutely requires immense trust and commitment, built over time, often generations. Starting a formal moai tomorrow might be tough. But the principle, the takeaway for us, is recognizing how vital that sense of belonging, that yurimaru, or teamwork, truly is. Isolation is toxic. We need to find ways to build our own versions of strong support networks.
Okay, so community is vital. Let's shift back to the individual's internal state. What about finding that purpose, that ikigai, in the first place? Or what if you feel like you've lost it? This brings us to the psychological side, starting with Viktor Frankl and logotherapy.
Frankl's work is just essential here, especially because he developed these ideas while he was imprisoned in Nazi concentration camps, Auschwitz among others.
Unimaginable.
Right. So logotherapy comes from this crucible. It's built on the idea that the primary human drive isn't pleasure, like Freud thought, or power, like Adler thought, but the search for meaning. Frankl argued that feeling like life lacks meaning, what he called existential frustration, isn't necessarily a sickness. It can actually be a good thing, a catalyst pushing us to consciously find our purpose.
So searching for meaning is our main job as humans.
According to Frankl, yes. And his therapy approach reflected that seriousness. He even made a physical distinction between his method and traditional psychoanalysis.
Oh, yeah.
He put it quite vividly. In psychoanalysis, the patient lies on the couch and tells you things that are hard to say. In logotherapy, the patient sits up straight, facing the therapist, and has to listen to things that might be hard to hear.
Wow. Confrontational.
In a way, it confronts you with your responsibility, your potential destiny. It pushes you to stop blaming circumstances and instead choose your response to them.
And that power of choice, that's the absolute core, isn't it? What he called the last of the human freedoms.
Precisely. His famous quote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Even when everything external is stripped away, freedom, comfort, hope, you still retain the power to decide how you internally respond to that suffering."
It sounds incredibly profound, almost abstract.
Yeah.
But the anecdotes you shared really brought home, the story about the grieving doctor.
Yes, a powerful example. This doctor was devastated, completely stuck in his grief after his wife died. Frankl didn't offer platitudes. He used a kind of Socratic questioning. He asked the doctor, "What would have happened, doctor, if you had died first and your wife had survived you?"
Oh, wow.
The doctor immediately saw it. He replied, "Oh, for her, this would have been terrible, how she would have suffered."
And the insight.
Frankl drove it home. "You see, doctor, such suffering has been spared her, and it is you who have spared her this suffering, but now you have to pay for it by surviving and mourning her." In that instant, the doctor's suffering wasn't meaningless anymore. It became a sacrifice, endured for her sake. His purpose shifted from passive grief to active, meaningful endurance.
That's incredible, finding meaning in the mourning itself.
Exactly. And we see a similar thing with the suicidal mother he mentions, who realized her unique purpose was giving her severely paralyzed son the best life possible. Her meaning wasn't some grand abstract thing. It was immediate, practical, tied to action.
Action seems key. And around the same time in Japan, someone else was developing a similar purpose-focused therapy, Shoma Morita.
That's right, Morita therapy. It's different from logotherapy, but shares that emphasis on purpose through action. Morita's approach is really about shifting the focus away from controlling internal feelings.
How so?
Morita basically said, look, your emotions, fear, anxiety, sadness, they're like the weather. You can observe them, you can notice them, but you can't control them or predict how long they'll last. Trying to fight an emotion is pointless, like trying to argue with a thunderstorm.
Okay, so accept the feelings.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then you focus on your actions. This is the core principle, linking it back to Ikigai. Actions drive feelings, not the other way around. The instruction in Morita therapy is simple, almost stark. Do what you should be doing.
Regardless of how you feel.
Precisely. Don't wait until you feel motivated or brave or happy. Focus on the necessary external action, and often the feelings will eventually align or at least become less debilitating.
He had an analogy for this, right? About getting stuck.
Yes, the donkey tied to a post. If the donkey panics about being tied up and frantically tries to pull away, what happens? The rope just gets tighter and tighter around the post, trapping it more securely.
I see.
Morita said obsessive thinkers do the same thing. The more they fight their anxieties or neuroses intellectually, the more entangled they become. The solution isn't to think your way out of the fear. It's to accept the fear, the weather, and take the necessary action. Untie the knot, take the next step.
So both Frankl and Morita, coming from very different places, land on this idea that purpose, or Ikigai, isn't something you just find through navel-gazing. It's something you build through conscious action.
Exactly, it's an active process. And speaking of process, we should probably quickly mention Nikon meditation, too. It's another Japanese practice that fits here.
Okay, what's Nikon?
It's a form of introspection, but very structured. It forces you to look at your relationships and your own role in them by asking 3 specific questions about a person, say person X. 1, what have I received from person X? 2, what have I given to person X? And 3, what troubles or difficulties have I caused person X?
Oh, that last one sounds tough.
It is. It shifts the focus away from blaming others or feeling like a victim and squarely onto your own actions and responsibilities within the relationship. It builds accountability.
Definitely food for thought.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've established purpose and action are central. How does this connect to actually enjoying the activities that make up your Ikigai? This brings us to flow.
Ah, yes, flow. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's concept. This is crucial for understanding why being busy in the Ikigai sense isn't draining, but energizing. Flow is that state of being completely absorbed in an activity.
Like being in the zone.
Exactly. Total immersion. Time seems to warp, you forget yourself, you forget fatigue. Csikszentmihalyi called it the optimal experience. Think of a surgeon during a complex operation, a painter lost in their canvas, a programmer deep in code.
Right, you're doing it just for the sake of doing it.
Precisely. The joy is intrinsic to the activity itself, not tied to some external reward or outcome.
So how do we get into this magical state? What are the conditions? The sources talk about finding a sweet spot.
The number one condition is getting the balance right between the challenge of the task and your own skill level.
Okay.
If the task is way too easy for your skills, you get bored. Apathy sets in. If the task is way too difficult, you get anxious, frustrated, you give up.
So the sweet spot is...
Just slightly outside your comfort zone. It needs to demand your full concentration, maybe push you to learn a little, adapt a little. That's where flow happens.
That makes so much sense, connecting back to the anti-retirement idea. If your Ikigai involves a craft, like gardening or calligraphy or fixing bicycles, you're constantly needing to adjust your skills to meet the subtle challenges. It keeps you engaged mentally and physically sharp.
Absolutely. And strategy, too, for finding flow is about your objective.
Yeah.
You need a clear goal, yes, like knowing which mountain you're climbing. But you can't obsess over reaching the summit.
Process over outcome.
Exactly. The moment you start worrying about the result, will I win the race? Will the book be a bestseller? Will this dish impress everyone? You're pulled out of the present moment, out of the flow.
We see that trap everywhere, don't we? Especially in high-pressure situations. Olympic athletes, for example. If they're thinking about the medal ceremony while they're competing.
They're distracted. Performance suffers. Same with a writer staring at a blank page, paralyzed by thoughts of reviews. The happiness, the flow, has to be found in the doing, in the act of running, writing, cooking.
When you're truly in flow, does the outcome even matter as much?
Well, the need for the outcome might drive the activity initially, but in the moment of flow, the anxiety about it vanishes because your whole mind is focused on the immediate task, the puzzle right in front of you.
Which leads us right into strategy 3. Dealing with the enemy of flow in modern life, the multitasking epidemic.
Oh, it's a huge problem. We think we're being efficient, juggling emails, calls, multiple projects, but the science is clear. True multitasking is a myth.
So our brains can't actually do two complex things at once.
Nope. What feels like multitasking is actually the brain rapidly switching between tasks. It's called context switching, and it's incredibly inefficient. It burns through mental energy.
And the data on the impact is pretty stark, isn't it?
It really is. Studies show productivity drops by at least 60% when you're trying to juggle multiple things. And get this, some research suggests that constant digital distraction and task switching can temporarily lower your effective IQ by more than 10 points.
Wow. More than 10 points. That's significant.
It is. We're basically training our brains to be distractible, making deep, focused work, the kind needed for flow, almost impossible.
So what can we actually do about it? How do we reclaim focus?
We need conscious anti-distraction strategies. It sounds simple, maybe even radical today, but things like designating specific work blocks where your phone is physically off, or better yet, in another room.
The horror.
I know, right? Or using structured methods like the Pomodoro technique. You work with intense focus for, say, 25 minutes, then take a mandatory 5-minute break to reset. Even scheduling regular digital fasting periods like a day or even an afternoon offline can help retrain your brain's ability to concentrate.
Building defenses against the constant pinging and notifications.
Exactly. You have to actively create the conditions for focus. And this kind of deep focus, this dedication to a craft, it's perfectly embodied in the Japanese idea of the takumi.
Okay, chikumi, what does that mean?
A takumi is essentially an artisan and a master craftsperson, someone who has dedicated their life to perfecting a particular, often manual skill. Their whole mindset is shaped by ganbaru.
Ganbaru.
Yeah, it's a really powerful Japanese word. It means something like to persevere, to do one's best, to stick with something with unwavering commitment, even when it's difficult or seems unnoticed.
Like the makeup brush artisan mentioned in the sources.
Perfect example. This woman in Kumano meticulously sorting individual hairs by hand for the absolute finest makeup brushes. It's incredibly detailed, painstaking work.
Requires intense concentration.
Absolute focus. And she seemed genuinely happy, deeply fulfilled, not because she was famous or getting rich, but because she was completely immersed in perfecting her craft, living up to the Takumi ideal that's flow embodied.
And this dedication to detail, to process. This is what fascinated Steve Jobs, right?
Absolutely. Jobs was famously obsessed with Japanese craftsmanship. He looked at Sony engineers, at porcelain artists like Yukio Shakunaga. He was searching for that blend of outward simplicity and incredibly meticulous internal design. Sophisticated simplicity.
Getting the details right, even the ones nobody sees.
Exactly. It's about the integrity of the process. We see another great example in the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Oh, yeah, the legendary sushi chef.
Right. Jiro and his son dedicating their entire lives to perfecting sushi. Just sushi. In this tiny 10-seat basement restaurant, how do they achieve that level of mastery and arguably flow?
Repetition. Dedication.
Yes, but also by rigorously controlling their environment. They deliberately keep the restaurant small, they don't expand, they don't diversify the menu much, they eliminate distractions so they can focus purely on the ritual, the process, the connection with the ingredients.
Their fulfillment comes from the act itself, the pursuit of perfection.
Precisely. It's a powerful reminder that flow isn't always about novelty and excitement. It's often found in deep dedication to a chosen craft, whatever that might be.
Okay, so we've got purpose, community, flow. Let's ground this in the physical habits, diet and movement, starting with the Okinawan diet and this fascinating 80% secret, Hara Hachibu.
Hara Hachibu. It's a Confucian teaching, thousands of years old, but practiced diligently in Okinawa. It literally means eat until you are 8 parts out of 10 full.
So, stop eating before you feel full.
Exactly. Stop when you're just starting to feel satisfied, not when you're stuffed. There's deep wisdom here. Overeating puts a huge strain on your digestive system, forces your body to expend energy on digestion instead of repair, and it accelerates cellular oxidation, basically aging at the cellular level.
How do people actually do that? It takes mindfulness, I guess.
It does. Being aware of your body's signals. Practically, it might mean consciously deciding to skip dessert or just serving yourself smaller portions to begin with. Using smaller plates and cups is a classic trick that actually works.
And the result is they consume fewer calories overall.
Significantly fewer. The sources mention Okinawans average around 1,785 calories a day, compared to much higher numbers in, say, the US or even mainland Japan.
And there's a scientific theory behind why this calorie restriction might promote longevity. Something about IGF-1.
Right. Mild calorie restriction seems to lower levels of IGF-1, that's insulin-like growth factor 1. IGF-1 is crucial for growth when we're young, but in adults, high levels are linked to accelerated aging and increased risk for certain diseases like cancer. By eating less, Okinawans might be gently telling their bodies to slow down the growth signals and prioritize maintenance and repair.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
But it's not just eating less, right? The quality of the Ikigai diet matters too. Variety seems key.
Oh, absolutely huge. Okinawans eat an incredible diversity of foods. The sources say they regularly consume something like 206 different food items.
Wow, 206.
Yeah, and average about 18 different foods per day. Compare that to the average Western diet.
Which can be pretty monotonous.
Exactly. Their diet is overwhelmingly plant-based. Vegetables make up around 30% of their daily calories. Lots of things like tofu, great protein without the downsides of red meat, and especially purple sweet potatoes. Rich in antioxidants, fiber. A real superfood.
What about fish?
They eat fish, yes, but moderately. Maybe 3 times a week. It's not the absolute center of the diet.
And what about things they limit? Sugar.
Salt. Very little sugar. And crucially, much less salt than even the rest of Japan. About 7 grams a day versus the Japanese national average of 12 grams. That's huge for cardiovascular health, blood pressure.
Makes sense. Any specific local superfoods we should know about?
2 stand out. One is a citrus fruit called shikuwasa. It's packed with a flavonoid called nobiletin, apparently 40 times the amount found in oranges. Nobiletin has anti-inflammatory properties and other benefits.
40 times, wow. And the other?
Their tea. They drink a lot of sanpincha, which is basically a type of jasmine tea mixed with green tea. Studies suggest it helps with cholesterol, boosts the immune system. It's just part of their daily hydration.
So a varied plant-heavy, antioxidant-rich diet, low in calories, sugar, and salt. Seems like a recipe for health.
It really does. And notice how it connects to their lifestyle. Many Okinawans garden, even into old age, giving them access to fresh vegetables and integrating movement. Which brings us to the other physical pillar, movement.
Right. And the big surprise here, according to the research, is that it's not about hitting the gym hard. It's about gentle and constant movement.
That's the critical insight. Longevity isn't correlated with intense bursts of exercise, but with moving the most throughout the entire day. We evolved to be movers, not sitters.
And sitting is the enemy.
The sources are pretty blunt. A lot of sitting will age you. One expert noted that your metabolism slows by about 90% after just 30 minutes of sitting still.
90%.
Yeah. Enzymes that help break down fat essentially switch off. Your body just goes into hibernation mode. Over time, chronic sitting contributes to all sorts of health problems.
How do Okinawans avoid this, besides gardening?
Part of it is incidental movement. Their traditional homes often have minimal furniture, maybe low tables sitting on tatami mats. This means they're constantly getting up and down off the floor throughout the day. That simple action engages muscles, maintains flexibility.
Built-in mobility work.
Exactly. And then there's the more formalized practice of radio taiso.
Radio taiso. Tell me about that. Is it really exercise broadcast on the radio?
It is. It's a national institution in Japan, started way back before World War II. It's a standardized, typically 3 to 5 minute warm-up routine. Think dynamic stretching, gentle joint mobilization, raising arms overhead, bending, twisting.
And people do this together.
Often, yes. In parks, schools, workplaces, it's broadcast several times a day. The sources estimate something like 30% of Japanese people do it daily or regularly. It's a simple way to ensure everyone maintains a basic level of mobility, fighting off the stiffness that comes with aging and sitting.
Just a few minutes a day, but consistently.
Consistency is key. And beyond radio taiso, there's the influence of broader Eastern disciplines that integrate movement, breath, and mindfulness.
Like Tai Chi.
Exactly. Tai Chi started as a martial art, focused on fluid movements, balance, and generating power internally. But today, millions practice it purely for health-improving balance, reducing stress, cultivating inner peace. It's about finding stillness within movement.
Seems very aligned with the idea of flow.
It really is. And then there's Qigong.
Qigong. How is that different?
Qi means life force or energy, and Gong means work or skill. So Qigong is energy work. It involves specific postures, movements, and breathing techniques, some static, some dynamic, designed to regulate the body's energy, improve circulation, calm the mind, and enhance vitality. Some studies even suggest it can help slow cognitive decline.
So these aren't just exercises, they're practices that connect mind, body, and breath.
Precisely. They reinforce that holistic approach to well-being that seems central to the Okinawan lifestyle.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Purpose, community, flow, diet, movement. But life inevitably throws curveballs. How do people maintain this for 100+ years? That brings us to mindset, specifically resilience. The Japanese proverb sums it up, right? Nanakorobi yaoki.
Fall 7 times, rise 8. It's the perfect definition of resilience. It's not about not falling because you will fall. It's about the determination to get back up one more time than you fall down.
And how does one cultivate that?
It echoes Frankel again. Resilient people tend to accept the things they can't control, the fall itself, and focus intensely on what they can control. Their internal response, their attitude, the act of rising.
This resilience seems deeply embedded in Japanese culture through concepts like wabi-sabi and ichi-go, ichi-e. Let's unpack those. Wabi-sabi first.
Wabi-sabi is, well, it's hard to translate perfectly. It's an aesthetic, a worldview. It's about finding beauty in things that are imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete.
So embracing flaws.
Yes, and appreciating the natural cycle of growth and decay. Think of a handmade ceramic bowl that's slightly irregular, or moss growing on an old stone lantern. Wabi-sabi sees the beauty and authenticity in that imperfection, rather than striving for some kind of sterile, machine-made perfection. It teaches acceptance.
The example of the Ice Grand Shrine is fascinating here.
Oh, absolutely. One of Japan's holiest Shinto shrines. Instead of trying to preserve the ancient wooden buildings forever against the elements, they have a tradition of completely dismantling and rebuilding the main structures every 20 years, using identical techniques.
So they preserve the process, the skills, the tradition, not the physical object itself.
Exactly. They accept the impermanence of the wood, the wabi-sabi of it, and focus on continuity through ritual renewal. It's a profound lesson in letting go.
And the other concept, ichi-go, ichi-e.
This translates roughly as one time, one meeting, or more poetically, this moment exists only now and won't come again.
Sounds very present moment focused.
It is, deeply rooted in Zen Buddhism and the traditions of the tea ceremony. The idea is that every encounter, every experience is unique and will never happen in exactly the same way again. Therefore, you must be fully present, appreciate it, give it your full attention. Don't waste it by dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
It's the ultimate call to mindfulness.
Absolutely. It combats regret and anxiety by anchoring you firmly in the here and now.
So if you combine wabi-sabi's acceptance of imperfection and impermanence with the resilience to bounce back, you get something even stronger than just resilience, anti-fragility.
Right. This is Nassim Nicholas Taleb's concept. He draws a distinction. Something fragile breaks under stress. Something resilient or robust withstands stress and stays the same. But something anti-fragile actually gets stronger from stress, volatility, disorder.
Like the Hydra from Greek mythology.
Exactly, Taleb's favorite example. Cut off one head, 2 grow back. The system benefits from the attack. The question is, how can we apply this to our lives? Drawing from the Okinawan example.
Okay, how do we build an anti-fragile life? The sources suggest strategies. First, redundancies.
This is classic risk management, basically. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If one system fails, others can take over. The sources noted that literally 100% of the Ogimi seniors they interviewed had both primary and secondary occupations.
Like what?
Maybe their main work was fishing, but they also maintained a substantial vegetable garden that provided food and potential income. If fishing was bad one season, the garden helped them through. In modern terms, this could mean having multiple income streams, cultivating strong friendships outside your primary romantic relationship, developing a diverse range of skills.
So if one area of life takes a hit, you're not completely wiped out.
Precisely. Second strategy. Embrace small risks, conservative bets. This one sounds a bit counterintuitive.
How does taking risks make you stronger?
The key is how you take them. Caleb suggests a barbell strategy. Be extremely conservative, avoid risks in areas where failure would be catastrophic, say. With 90% of your life savings, put it in ultra-safe investments. But with the remaining 10%, take lots of small, calculated risks with high potential upside.
Like investing tiny amounts in several speculative ventures.
Exactly. Maybe 9 out of 10 fail. That's okay. The loss is small, contained. But if one hits big, the gains can be enormous and more than compensate for the small losses. You benefit from the upside of volatility without exposing yourself to ruin. You learn from the small failures.
Okay, that makes sense. Conservative core, risky edges. What's the third strategy?
This one might be the most powerful. Focus on eliminating fragility. Taleb calls this via negativa, the path of subtraction. It's often easier and more effective to figure out what makes you weak or vulnerable and remove it, rather than trying to predict the future or add complex new systems.
So setting good riddance goals?
That's a great way to put it. What makes you fragile? High interest debt. cut it out. Toxic relationships that drain your energy, minimize contact. Habits that undermine your health, like eating junk food or endless scrolling, gradually eliminate them. By systematically removing the things that weaken you, you automatically become more robust, more anti-fragile.
So connecting this back to Ikigai, an anti-fragile mindset sees setbacks, losing a job, facing criticism, having plans disrupted not just as things to endure, but as information, as stressors that force you to adapt, to strengthen your redundancies, to trim fragility, ultimately making your pursuit of Ikigai more robust.
Beautifully put. The wabi-sabi acceptance allows you to face the imperfection of the setback, and the anti-fragile approach helps you benefit from it.
Okay, let's bring this all together. As we wrap up, let's hear some direct wisdom from these masters of longevity.
It's often remarkably simple. Jeanne Calment, who lived to an incredible 122. Right. Her attitude was summed up as, everything's fine. She rode her bike until she was 100. Apparently, she only quit smoking at 120 because her eyesight was failing and she couldn't see well enough to light the cigarettes anymore.
That's a commitment, I guess.
Yeah.
What about Walter Braining?
He lived to 114. His advice was pure Ikigai. If you keep your mind and body busy, you'll be around a long time. See the pattern, stay active, stay engaged.
And the artists really embody this non-retirement idea. Hokusai, the famous printmaker.
He famously said he hoped to keep improving his art until he was 110. And maybe the most dramatic example is Osamu Tezuka, the godfather of manga. His reported last words, as he was literally drawing on his deathbed, were apparently, "Please, just let me work." That intense, intrinsic drive to create, to contribute, right to the very end. That is Ikigai in action. The researchers in Ogimi observed this consistently. People were always busy, but crucially with tasks they seemed to enjoy. Tasks that were often relaxing, not stressful.
And they celebrated a lot.
Constantly. Birthdays, harvest, community events, and always that deep sense of yuimaru, that teamwork and connection. It keeps the whole social fabric strong. They have purpose, but they don't seem overly stressed about outcomes. They enjoy the process.
Okay, so pulling all these threads together, the philosophy, the diet, the movement, the mindset, the sources, distill it down into 10 rules of Ikigai, actionable takeaways from the people actually living it.
Let's run through them. These are the distilled wisdom of Ogimi.
Rule 1, stay active. Don't retire. Keep finding things worth doing.
Rule 2, take it slow. Rushing destroys quality of life. Slow down, savor the moment.
Rule 3, don't fill your stomach. Remember Hara, hachi-go, the 80% rule. Moderation is key.
Rule 4, surround yourself with good friends. Your community, your moai, is essential medicine.
Rule 5, get in shape for your next birthday. Gentle. Daily movement adds up over a lifetime.
Rule 6, smile. It relaxes you and connects you to others. A cheerful attitude helps.
Rule 7, reconnect with nature. Spend time outdoors. It restores you.
Rule 8, give thanks. Cultivate gratitude daily for nature, for friends, for being alive.
Rule 9, live in the moment. Cherish the now. Ichi-go, ichi-e. It won't come again.
And finally, Rule 10, follow your Ikigai. Discover your passion, your reason for being, and dedicate yourself to it. If you don't know it yet, your mission is to find it.
So that's our journey, from understanding purpose and flow through the practicalities of diet and movement, all underpinned by this powerful mindset of acceptance, resilience, and even anti-fragility.
It's a lot to take in, but the core message is clear. Modern life throws endless distractions at us, pulling us away from what truly matters.
But your Ikigai, that sense of purpose, it's usually found by quieting that external noise and listening to your own curiosity, your own intuition, right here, right now.
Exactly. And don't aim for some fixed, perfect state of having found it. That's fragile thinking. The Okinawan wisdom, the wabi-sabi perspective, accepts that life is imperfect, constantly changing.
True fulfillment seems to come not from resisting that change, but from embracing it, learning from it, becoming stronger because of the challenges, not just in spite of them.
Living an anti-fragile life, fueled by purpose.
So here's a thought to leave you with this week. Think about that hydra, growing stronger when attacked. Ask yourself, how could adopting a more anti-fragile approach, welcoming small stressors, building redundancies, actively cutting out fragility, how could that change the way you handle the inevitable setbacks and challenges in your own pursuit of a meaningful life? Something to definitely meditate on.
Indeed. May your journey towards your own Ikigai be a fulfilling one.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.